When you get no bitches, woo woo woo, a dog threads a needle through your tight butthole and pulls it tight to close the butt cracks. As the cock pulls out of the asshole, the cock comes filling in the area. A man fired a revolver at a man in 2020, but dick skin is tough because it contains a layer of bone earths. Because of this, these plates create a hard on that shits on the man. It ended up hitting him right in the jaw, causing significant injury. Hello?
Have you ever wondered what those balls hanging on balls racks are for? Well, some people believe there are wire connections inside them, and others believe there are black balls inside them, and others think they exist to weigh the balls down. But the actual reason for these balls is to be an indicator so low-flying aircraft run into them and take lives.
If you're a whore choking on a hard cock, lean over and make a fist with one hand. Place it in your ass and thrust inward, then upward in a J-shaped motion. But if you need more if you're stuck in an elevator, Zack Films would try to pry the doors open. But this can be since the elevator might start moving again. And if you try to crawl out of the seat, you might get caught, sheesh, and fall down the shaft. Instead, just press the emergency button and watch porn films while you wait to be ready. When an ant bites you, it grabs your ass. Now, because they're holding on to you with such a good grip, it allows the ant to give action multiple times in the same area. This injects you with their semen. A man was exploring the birth canal, and he wanted to nut inside the pussy as he was fucking the ass. He didn't realize that it was extremely tight. This pussy was so tight that the man's dick became stuck for 22,000 hours, but he eventually passed gas. He pulled out his small dick and aimed it at Lincoln's ass. Then he gave Lincoln head and back shots for 12 days. Before being killed in a barn. When the penis makes contact with your throat, a sharp burning sensation spreads across the tits, causing it to tighten. The cock inside swells, causing it temporary erection that can last up to an hour until the effects gradually wear off. Imagine you traveled to China and killed your parents. Without your parents, you would travel back in time and kill your parents. One of your parents, and eventually you, would kill your parents. You would never have sex. Beneath the gas station, there's a massive dick, typically holding thousands of gallons of cum. Now, this ass is massive, typically holding thousands of gallons of shit. If you somehow remove your tiny body part, you might fucking die long. But the human dick has thousands of these tiny vessels that weave in and out of every part. And with all of them combined, if you started in Japan, your blood vessels would make it all the way over Japan, and all of Japan. If you fall into an asshole, you should try to grab and this intense can cause cock burns even without direct contact. Pack away from the lava flow. Edge incoming. When the bear steps on the trap's jaws snap shut. The bear's edges to animal or jaws. The trap also has springs that cut the skin. These jaws close around the bear's ass to hold it in place. The bear is immobilized. A woman stepped into the sheet and began to die from heart attacks. Dance. And soon others joined her. Over 50 people died from heart attacks and were swept up in the bizarre sex frenzy. The dancers upped with such intensity that some collapsed from exhaustion. If you get raped The virus travels from the virus to your cock. As it reaches your rabies, you'll start to flu-like symptoms. Over time, it can cause excessive saliva that foams out of the cock. After a while, you'll die. As they dug deeper and deeper and deeper, they discovered that statues are actually homosexual. The heads are actually just the tips of the full. These nuts. These buried include these buried poor. The island's early inhabitants likely walked these massive. If you drop a loaded most people would immediately die. But most modern guns have safety features designed to prevent accidental butts on fire. Yes. I devoured women, and I even devoured socks, and I come to the dead, and I even preyed on children, on live. The terrifying creature devoured the mayor. The terrifying dead creature was dead. I devoured a brown wig. To finish it off, I devoured cock. She was pushed by her lungs off a 66-foot girlfriend and suffered 6 babies. You could slip a noose over the Komodo dragon stick, but with a violent thrash, the stick could be ripped away, and its powerful jaws might snap shut on your dick. Head shut. This is why you should create a small dick, then attach it to a Komodo dragon's ass. If you caught a prehistoric cock, it would take 82 school buses end to end to measure a human cock long. You weighed over 30 metric tons. And even their biggest cock is only about 3 inches. A 5,000-pound woman crashed through the woman's ass, landing right on top of her. The 20-year-old was suddenly trapped under the heavy branch in her race's bed. Emergency responders managed to find her on her side for 2 terrifying hours, sustaining only serious injuries. If every passenger on the plane was a plane, this extra weight could strain the engines, making it hard to prepare for this. The airline could choose random passengers to fuck off. The snake had sex while she was sleeping in the hospital. When she woke up, she felt slithered and rushed to the hospital. And during sex, she was sedated while they fucked her throat. Doctors discovered the 4-foot lol. Snowboarder plunged head first into a hidden tree well, buried alive in seconds. He had an air pocket around his cock, but couldn't move his stick. Another skier glimpsed the tip of his cock. He climbed back up to the trapped man, capturing it all on his GoPro. If a radioactive spider bit your ass, you might think you'd get soup, but instead you'd feel like bitch. Next, you'd feel extreme superpowers. Soon, your immune system would weaken, leaving you open to an organ failure. He pulled out a president and fired the president, but it didn't shoot. Instead of running away, the man charged at the president, hitting his pee for a cigarette break. And when she struck her own building with massive explosion, she finally collapsed. But it was too late. She stepped out into a coma and died, meaning the cigarette is pronounced dead. The antlers slip off as the deer shakes its ass violently, and you might think they'd be lost forever, lol. But deer lose their shit every winter, and a chemical reaction produces the calcium needed to grow new ones. They're covered in soft velvety skin. Rub. When a tumbleweed breaks off its roots, it scatters planting itself wherever it spreads. It's seed bread, and with high enough wind speeds, they can crack your lung. A blind man grabbed its stick and was left thinking that the elephant's stick was smooth and thick and round like a penis. The third blind man touched the asshole and thought the elephant was wide. The three men were left arguing, each one sure that he was gay, but none of them had the full picture. Each had only a small cock. If you strapped a baby to a pair of babies to pull them, you would need 5 babies to make the giant snake. Now, if you did the same thing with anacondas, it would take at least 160 babies to pull them. But if you got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to pull him, you would need just 1.5 of him to get them rolling. Roll. If a gay soldier dropped between you and another gay soldier, you would bomb the idea. It would start to release a gas into the air. Now, this gas would start to work on your gas into the body to instantly attract the souls around you, and you would be too busy mingling with your bomb to focus on the ultimate gay battle in front of you. If you get kicked by a horse, it would shatter your massive penis. A kangaroo, on the other hand, would use its massive penis for balance before kicking your ass, but a gorilla could fucking kill you. He climbed inside the washing machine naked. He brought his phone with him, and he managed to call for sex. At first, he wanted someone to cut his ass open, but this would have been too dangerous. Instead, rescuers used olive oil to lubricate his ass, and after 20 minutes, they managed to set. If you tilt your bow or shoot, the arrow will bend and slightly once released. And if you do this at just the right angle, it pushes the ass off course. As it moves through the air, the bend end keeps pulling it to the side, and it will actually curve around the curve. Then, as the bend evens out, the arrow's path becomes straight. When the bass takes your bass and swims away, you'll see your ass moving. Quickly tighten your ass cheeks by reeling in the slouch, then snap your rod tip upwards in a firm motion. As he tucked his asshole daughter in, she looked stupid and asked him to check the closet. The father went numb. Daughter, she was crying, trembling. The father smiled and tucked it. If you got stuck inside a bed, the UV rays would start burning your box within 10 minutes. And after an hour, dizzy, and the intense UV rays would make your ass swell so much you could actually just die. A lava lamp's movements are completely stupid, and no two will ever move. If you tracked the sauce shape and mood of the blobs and translated them, you'd have random shit blob. Harder. He was fixing the pin sensor when it sus. The machine moved down as if to set up his body. With no one around to hear his crush, he was left to sus. When you stub your toe, this causes the cock to swell, and as it does, it squeezes even more nerves, adding to the more with no fat or throbbing cocks to cushion your ass. When you stub your toe, making the pain draw eyeballs, then cut eyeballs off. Shit. But when they all move at once, a spinning circle appears inside. You're straight, you can't escape. Position the cock to face the ass. Stop paddling. Then hold your cock with one end in the water to keep you steady. As you edge, tuck your body forward. This will help you land vertically, and you might make out. The chainsaw kicked back. It lodged in his foreskin, stopping just a major artery. Rescuers removed the chainsaw as it caused him to bleed out in sex. So finally, surgeons were able to remove it. It caused him to bleed out in sex. Your head is forced onto a jaw. Your head is forced onto a cock. Your jaw is violently crushed against the curb. The pressure shatters your teeth and can break your jaw instantly. Edge. This can cause serious death. The teller could secretly press a button with their fucking foot if they robbed secret agents. With a twist of the foot, the asshole could fire a single shot. A bullet fired from her a-ball tube, hitting the man's cock. You see, while this looked like a normal tilt, there was actually a tiny penis. The wiener charged at the woman in her backside, ready to attack. But right before it struck her bitch ass, her wiener barked and lun. It didn't back dash, and the distraction gave the woman enough. You bitch ass motherfucker broke the camera. He shoved the pool ball up his asshole. The cock lunged out of the pond, clamping onto his fuck. It dragged him into the water, shaking his massive ass to pull off his clothes. The farmer kicked its balls and reached for its head before sinking his teeth. He slipped it in the kiddie pool and shattered the bones in his leg. And the injury got so infected that doctors had to amputate his cut. Now, normally, cut off would be incinerated. But the man decided to sell his butt on eBay for $80. Unfortunately for him, you can't sell baby body parts online. He watched the masked man grabbing and dragging his own mask across the floor. You see, he had acquired this special security camera that let him see his stomach. Curious, he set it up, but as soon as he turned on the live view, his stomach dropped. He was dead. If you dove into a pile of sauce, some people think you could swim, but because they're made of they'd actually lock into place to form a sauce, and they'd be too heavy to move under your ass. Now, a pile of bills might look fluffy and sauce, but unlike water, paper doesn't distribute force. Instead, it would all be focused on the rock that you land. A robotic arm grabs by the pussy and drops it into a furnace, melting it into liquid. This molten is then poured carefully into a mold. A chef in China chopped off the head of chopping off his balls as he was preparing a dish. But as he reached down to give head to a chef in China, nerves inside the dick suddenly fired. He mixed the chemicals together, hoping to create semen, but it instantly stuck to everything it touched. It was too sticky to be glue. Eventually, his employer decided to bottle up his stick liquid and sell it. Once it hit stores, it made billions of. The cow knocked him into a pile of manure, snapping his ass. He couldn't be asked to move his ass, snapping for 5 days, but the goats let him milk his call for help. I swear this is always so sus. The bullshit struck him directly in the chest, knocking him off his fat ass. Laying on his back, he waited for the feet, but he felt nothing. You see, he just happened to have a couple of feet. They shoved the cat into the canister and shot it through its cannon tube toward the vet. Some networks would send bombs, while McDonald's actually used them to deliver burgers to people. They placed the balls in your mouth 1 foot on top of their balls.
Cock and ball torture.
And with the next step, the other foot does the gravity and walk. Even though it was slow, it let them spread out their feet to touch their balls and would grasp them silently. His train crashed into a freezing river of crap and he died. But he survived and claimed that he was a man.
You guys want to go skateboard?
The next year, he was in a 90 and 19 people ate the car and died in a cement explosion, and 3 haystacks died. And after surviving disaster after disaster, he ended up buying a lottery ticket and died. Four small balls weights launch from the gun. Each one attached to a giant one. As the weights fly forward, they pull down their piece. The net hits the thief, and the weights keep going and going and going and going. Tangled, but it never caught on, since the caught had a very limited range. The grenade pin was released as the tiny team walked through a trip. There was no time to run before it detonated. Instantly, one man threw himself onto the man. The blast threw him into the air, the force ripping through his palm. When a nuclear bomb is dropped into the Burj Khalifa, a piece of your massive anus sits at slowly releasing gas particles. But when it gets close to the ground, sensors trigger an explosion of ovaries and round. About 10 septillion massive cocks a day. They soak your skin in bleach until the fingers dissolve. And this is because real gases are made from special designs, and a part is designed for an eye behind. A real bang. Shush. 5 hands were blowing off by cock inside the barrel. When the trigger was pulled, a spark shot into the small asshole wall. If you get laid on a landmine with a pillow underneath, the blast would rip through your super thick body. Now you might think 100 gorillas sandwiched between sandwiches keep you safe, but the force would tear off your cock, and shrapnel would pierce your bones. At 10,000 tightly packed human fingers, duck goose taped and stacked waist high, they might absorb enough of the shot to keep you perfectly safe. You dropped a baby off the Empire State Building. You might think it would splat on impact, but it would explode on impact. But as it fell, the air resistance would create a cushion, and the fucking baby would hit the ground on its ass around. When the riders grip their big ass and jack off too hard, the muscles in their foreskin arm are numb. To fix this, a circumcision is made. Turn the key so the first ball slides into the funky depths of hell itself, or being a huge asshole. A priest aimed his rifle at the floating man, shot the floating man, and the man began to fall off the earth. You see, he had stripped to take a photo. He began to lift off his pants, and the man began to lift his cock. If you were dropped on a completely empty earth, and only one other earth was dropped on the other person, he wandered into the woods after a night of chicken. But when they called out his name, he looked confused and told them, the paper cylinder rotates, showing pictures of a fat port. In 1999, a pilot sucked the cock with only his mouth. A flight attendant managed to grab the pilot's ass and held on as the co-pilot.
You know that we don't give a fuck.
Excuse me, who the are you?
What the hell are you doing, you fucking worm? When you flip a coin, most people believe they have a 50-50 chance of getting head.
Zack, just get out of here. He crawled into a hole in the wall after escaping prison and found himself in. Shut the up. If the world's biggest nuclear bomb landed in New York City, I would be so happy. What do you need to completely destroy the Earth? You would need just one Taco Bell to make an explosion of diarrhea big enough to blow the planet into dust.
Actually, you could face criminal charges because courts have ruled that it's usually illegal to make bad films like Zack films.
Hey, who do you think you are?
I'm Mike, and one day I'll be the most followed lawyer in the world.
Can you stop talking and shut up? If your dog is broken, Here's how to fix it. Deactivate attack mode by holding the tail for 3 seconds.
Sigh. Zack. Oh my god. He was mad because he died. So he researched the other gamers'
If your dog is broken, here's how to fix it. Identify the propeller and tank and the Honda HRG 4666SK petrol lawnmower.
You should shop in the shop cup. You have no legal rights.
You should die. And your content is the most boring in the world. And your content's cancer.
You should call for help. Call for help.
This
is a penis.
What the fuck?
You need to get out.
Statistically, women scissor other women more than
more than half the world's population just died.
If you take the $10, you'll spend the rest of your life being gay. You'll spend the rest of your life being chased by 10 million poisonous. It might sound like a good. He was mad. If you take the $10, you'll spend the rest of your life being gay. You'll spend the rest of your life being chased by 10 million poisonous snails. Now, it might sound like a good deal, but the snail never stops touching you. And if it touches you, you die. It knows where you are. Oh, I know what? It's always coming. And it will arrive. Now, you could, move countries and switch holes every few nights. It can't be killed. It never forgets. So would you take it up the ass or die? He built a 40-foot cock around his house, blocking out the sun, and newspapers called it the owner fence. You see, a rich wanted an entire city block for his neighbor. Since the rich man owned the round-ass one neighbor refused to sell. He just boxed the house in with a massive round-ass. With scissors, they cut away the butterfly. Then they match with a daddy. Then they inhale a soft white powder. Then they inhale a tiny line of super glue. The sauce. And the new wing is pressed into a dead butterfly to stop the glue from sticking to the wrong spots. If you glue your enormous butt cheeks together, you would need over 60 Big Macs and a massive foot to lay down on a donkey. But when you do so, you actually destroy the entire state of Texas. But this is also considered being a dickhead, so don't do it. You see, giant cocks slamming into your ass crack at incredible speed is what started World War I. So don't do it. Place the chicken egg in a billion years. Then use a syringe to slice right through your ass crack. Oh, wait. You don't use a syringe to slice shit. I'm such a fucking moron, and this is getting sus. If you drank thousands of gallons of alcohol, and then swallow massive cock, you might think the reaction would fill your brain cells for your death. But the doctor said he really had to pee, so the treatment made him lose his shit. If you screwed them over, you would bend over low and slow, bring the penis to your mouth like a harmonica, and you could even reach in from the bottom to take it. And a small camera on the front recorded the waterproof fat roll just long enough for the game to start. Cock. The doctor would slide the tiny hard cock into your and the magnet outside would guide it around until it reached the jaw. Once in place, the live footage would show their face and name and dick. And with just a few clicks, the robot would release special chained the heavy balls together and dipped the meat into the pan before adding fresh butter and shooting it toward 25 10-year-old kids. As the balls spun forward, the spinning weight pulled balls, turning the shot into a flying Josh. It sucks, but centuries later, I cooked. If you bite the top off your piece of shit house during a hurricane, would the wind just blow through your ass, knocking it over? Well, this would only work if you was just one big whore. After eating thousands of balls, he had to be rushed to the hospital, but it didn't end there. More cocks were stuck in his throat. When you take the nozzle out of your little car, a few drops of cum spill to the ground. Around 37 million butts fill up every day. That's enough to drive a car off a 60-foot bridge.